Talking with famous people.
Hello, I'm host Eric, and welcome to Talking with Famous People. Tonight, I'm going to be talking about the ESTJ personality type. Now, if you'll look at the bottom here, you'll note that there are the four cognitive functions listed. First is TE, that's extroverted thinking. Next, SI, that's introverted sensing. Third is NE, that's extroverted intuition. And last is FI, that's introverted feeling. Now we're going to go over what all that stuff means and what an ESTJ is actually like. Can I have the next slide, please, Bob? Yeah, not that one. Yeah. Good. Great. Thank you. New guy. My bad. All right, so let's look at this first row here. It's TE. Now, this is the dominant function of the ESTJ. And it is a judging function, which means that it's going to be something that you use to make determinations. I would note also that the TE function is tasked with systemization, organizational stuff externally. Remember that the dominant function is basically the function that tells you who you are. So ESTJ, you are extroverted thinking. What does that mean? You're all about the organization of space objects and people. Stuff outside of you. When you're talking about the organization of people, you don't mean organizing a party. You mean organizing to get shit done. You lead with this very outcome-oriented function. It's a judging function. It's decisive. And as a consequence, you tend to be very work-focused people. The second function that you have is the SI function. And if we look down there, you'll note that it's a perceiving function, first of all, and that it's all about memory and internal organization. So the first two functions, the ESTJ, are both organizational functions. First, foremost, organization externally, and then second most, organization internally. Now the interesting thing is the second function, in my way of describing it anyway, is how you do who you are, or how you be who you are. The nature of the ESTJ is to organize externally. The process by which the ESTJ organizes externally is by organizing internally. That's their first action that they take to implement who they are, namely the organization of things outside of themselves. You'll note that SI correlates there with time object management. So, in other words, the ESTJ is extremely capable in the management of both time and space objects, making them among the most orderly and organized of all personality types. However, what could potentially be a big problem, that is to say, far too heavy a focus on structure, is saved in the ESTJ by their third function, which I refer to as the motivational function. It's a perceiving function. It's extroverted intuition. I call it the motivational function because basically this function answers the question of why you want to do who you are. So what's your purpose for all this organizational stuff? Well, it's to create an environment for yourself in which you have the ability to express yourself. What, for me, as an ENTP, is the dominant function, extroverted intuition, and an ESTJ is the motivational function. And it's one of the reasons why I believe ESTJs and ENTPs get along particularly well. It's because this extroverted intuition is in the third slot. It's not down in the fourth slot. If it were in the fourth slot, it wouldn't make enough of a difference for us to fit so well. But because it's their motivational thing and they see us leading with extroverted intuition and being extremely exploratory, it makes us appealing to them. So they're more likely to be friends with us than you might think somebody so orderly would want to be. And I note here that exploration correlates really strongly with creativity, especially in the modern world. We're not going out and being conquistadors. These ESTJs will have aspirational creative goals and be more likely to manifest their NE at first in mastering the skills of the creative endeavor before actually engaging in uniquely creative activities. They're very much going to put their full faith in their organizational stuff. And that means dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's. I have one friend who's an ESTJ who's a musician, and he mastered all the scales and did all that kind of stuff first. That's NE making him want to be creative. That's TE and SI telling them, well, first handle all the organizational stuff. And then the last one down there, FI, it's also a judging function, and it's in the fourth slot, which is basically the what slot, the what you are shitty at. So the ESTJ has a hard time knowing what they feel, how they feel about things. You might say, knowing how you feel about the stuff you organize for the purpose of expressing yourself is a weak spot for the ESTJ. It's not a big problem to others that that's a weak spot for them. It tends to be a weak spot for them to themselves because they can be, well, let's get on to it in the next section here. So the next little section, can I have the next slide, please, Bob? All right, good. That's much better. Thank you. We see here the negative attributes. Can they be inflexible about their work? Yes, but they probably know best. So you're probably wrong if they're being flexible against you. 2, they can be socially awkward. They're not as deft socially as some other types, in part because they don't have extroverted feeling in their stack. Introverted feeling is their weakness, and they don't have introverted intuition. So, their gut doesn't tell them a lot of times what maybe other people would read right away. They seem to feel a little bit more uncertain when they're in a non-work environment. In a work environment, they're certain as hell. Because what they really want to be doing is organizing shit, and so when they're left with leisure time and stuff, they don't really know quite what to do with themselves. Alright, so next, they can make bad relationship decisions because they don't know what they feel very clearly. And they can be anal about their stuff, like, I gotta get the right gear and the right this and the right that. Which is totally cool. I mean, it's their stuff, they can be as anal about it as they want. Alright, now let's go on to the positives. ESTJs. They're shockingly reliable. Shockingly so. Number 2, they're very smart at their work. They may not necessarily be smart at everything outside of their work. They're not like an ENTP that's going to be quite good but not the best, probably, at a bunch of different little things. They're probably going to be the best at their one thing. They're very efficient. They get shit done fast. They want peace and order. They're not out to make trouble, and they are willing to compromise within their system, as long as it doesn't mess up their systemization. They're excellent hosts. If you go to a party at one of their houses, they're sure to have out stuff for you and worry about that because, of course, that's part of their whole organizational thing is they want to understand their social relationships in terms of a clearly ordered internal model with their... Where's that paper? Bob, put that paper back up. It's over there? Oh, okay. If the second thing being SI, they're going to be very organized in their modeling about what is rather than what could be. That NE in the third slot gives them great balance to go with all their super organized stuff, so they're not just like asswipes. One of the 2 ESTJs I know is known as a bit of an asswipe amongst his work associates. A lot of people think he's a dick, but he's only a dick in that context, right? And he's not even being a dick. He's just being passionate. And he just cares. He wants it the way he wants it, I totally get that. And then the other guy, I've never really seen him interact with his underlings at work, but I've heard him on the phone. He's nicer, but he's just as firm. So, they've got to loosen up. One of their tasks in life is to loosen themselves up so that they can let their NE come out more and not be quite so oppressed by their TE and SI. The last thing here, right tool for right job. These are great people to tell you you're doing something the stupid way. And you should listen to them when they tell you that, right? Because they know what they're talking about. And their motto is, well, get the right tool for the right job and make sure that you do it properly and all that kind of stuff. So they're great. Now let's go on to the next and last page about the ESTJ. Are they a good match for the ENTP as either friends or mates? They're an excellent match. You see that I gave them 5 stars out of 5.
Talking with famous people.